I'm Bekah and welcome to my new BookTube channel, Bekah's Bookshelves. Not only is this my first ever BookTube video, it is my first ever video full stop. So please bear with me and hang on in there, because this is definitely not going to be anywhere near what you have come to expect from the BookTube community, because I am no professional. So I feel that people don't really watch the introduction videos. So I'm just going to do a very brief introduction so you can learn a little about me and maybe what you might expect from my channel before we get into all the bookish goodness. So I live in the UK in the northwest in an area called Lancashire, hence my lovely accent. I'm 35 years old and I run a full-time online retail reselling type business, and I am a mum to two young boys who are ages 10 and 5. And with regards to books, I have always from being a child been a big reader, and up until now, or up until very recently, I have only ever published my opinions on books on places like Goodreads and Amazon. However, very recently I've started publishing things on social media, namely Instagram. So even though I'm very new to posting my opinions, trust me, your girl does have lots of opinions about books. So I generally will read almost anything, really. I'll usually give most things a try. The only exceptions normally are classics that I really struggle with. I just can't connect with them at all. Romance, I just can't do it. I've tried and I just can't do it. The only way I can get a bit of romance in is if it's kind of like a subplot to the main story, you know, like the characters kind of fall in love or whatever. That's okay, but an actual romance novel is not my thing at all. And usually most historical fiction, but that sometimes may depend on the actual subject matter and the time period. I do try and give most things a go. My favourite genres to read are post-apocalyptic / dystopian type stuff, especially virus outbreak stories and zombie. I absolutely love zombies. Oh, love zombies so much. So there will be quite a few reviews, I would say, probably on things like horror, sci-fi, dystopian, but also I do like to read memoirs and non-fiction. I do read quite a bit of self-help type development books, motivational type things, and I absolutely love this current trend with the medical memoirs. They are so fascinating, so there'll probably be stuff like that on here. And I'm just recently getting back into reading thrillers. I did read them years ago and then for some reason kind of stopped. Got a bit more into horror, but I'm getting back into them now and really enjoying them. So now you know a bit about who you're watching, I'm going to get right into the books. My TBR for October is actually, well, I think it's quite ambitious. It's quite ambitious for me because I do have quite a busy life, and October is a super busy month for us as a family. It's my birthday on the 12th of October, so we've got plans for that. And then also on the 26th of October, we fly out to Malaysia to go backpacking around Malaysia, Borneo and Singapore for 2 weeks. So we've obviously, I've not even thought about packing or anything like that. So we've got all that to organise, or shall I say I've got all that to organise. So my October TBR may be slightly shuffled about mid-month. I'll talk through the physical books first, and then I'll go through the ebooks that I plan on reading. Some of these books will be used for the Spookathon readathon that's being held over on Books and Lala. So I'll tag that below in case anybody hasn't heard of that readathon yet. And some of the books on this month's TBR are ARCs that I have been kindly sent by the publishers. So the first book I'm going to tell you about is Sick by Tom Leveen. This is, well, as you can imagine from the title, this is a virus outbreak / zombie type thing. I have been desperate to read this, and I finally got around to purchasing it a couple of weeks ago, and then I decided to save it for October because October is a spooky month. So the synopsis is: the fence around Phoenix Metro High School is for the students' protection, but it also keeps them trapped, unless you're in with Brian and his friends who know how to break out better than anyone. That knowledge comes in handy when people start getting sick during a pep rally. Really sick. They aren't themselves, they're dangerous. Really dangerous. Ripping each other to shreds, refusing to die. When the sickness spreads, Brian's stuck in stagecraft class with his best friend Chad and a bunch of drama kids. But his sister's out there, somewhere, and also his ex. And if he doesn't find them soon, the sick kids will. Wow. So this is actually, the whole book is set in one day. And so it kind of, I had a quick flick through, and you kind of get things like the, you know, the time and date. So it, you know, it's starting, let's see. Yeah. So it starts Tuesday, November the 12th at 11:04 a.m. And we kind of work through the day, the things that happen. Then we get another update, 11:36 a.m. So I'm really looking forward to this. And I think the format, the way it's written, and the fact that it's based over one day, I think it's just going to be, I think that it's going to be quite fast paced. I think there's going to be a lot of action. So I'm really looking forward to reading it. And this year I have been doing the Pop Sugar reading challenge. And one of the prompts on that is to read a book that's set in a single day. So that is this book. And also I'm going to be using this for the Spookathon readathon, because one of the prompts has red on the cover, and as we can see, this has red. So this book is a definite for this month. The next book I'm going to talk to you about is The Russian Sleep Experiment by Holly Ice. I actually don't really know what this book is about other than the brief synopsis on the back. I saw this in a charity shop and I thought it sounded really messed up and like something that would be quite freaky and quite unique. So I just picked it up, and I thought I'd give it a go this month. It's actually a really short book. It's 122 pages, and it's not packed full of text, as you can see, so it should be quite a quick read actually. So the synopsis is: 4 political prisoners living in a 1940s Siberian prisoner of war camp volunteer to be subjects in a Soviet military experiment. They are promised freedom in exchange for completing the exercise. In return, they must endure 30 days without sleep, fueled by gas 76IA. The longer the experimentees endure insomnia, the more they deteriorate. Words and pleasantries break down until they turn on each other. Researchers look on, neutral, and take notes for the super soldier application possibilities with this new wonder drug. One researcher, Luca, stands alone in believing the experiment needs to be stopped before irreversible damage is done, but is he too late? The subjects no longer want the gas switched off. So I think even the cover as well, I don't know if you can see it, the cover just looks freaky as well. So this This is definitely going on the list for October. I've owned it for about a year and it's just been sat on my bookshelves. So I'm finally going to get round to reading this one. The next book I'm going to talk to you about is Confessions of a Sociopath by M.E. Thomas. This is one of those, it's a non-fiction, but it's written in an entertaining way like you would fiction. So it's not just facts, you know, research data, things like that. It's actually more like a memoir, but written by somebody who's talking about something quite serious, really. So M.E. Thomas is a high-functioning, non-criminal sociopath. She is charismatic and successful. You would be charmed by her if you met her, might even be seduced by her. You would not realise that she is studying you to find your flaws, is ruthlessly manipulative, and does not feel guilty or remorse. And since it is claimed that 1 in 25 of us are sociopaths, she could be your friend or your boss. She could be you. Now she writes with breathtaking honesty about a life she spent trying to blend in with normal society, while quietly inserting herself into people's minds to wreak as much havoc as she can. She draws on the latest research to explain what makes a sociopath and argues that their skill set, logical, decisive, risk-taking, means they have a lot to offer us, making excellent business leaders, politicians, surgeons and lawyers like her. Captivating and shocking, Confessions of a Sociopath is a gripping insight into the mind of a self-confessed predator. Yeah, so I think I'm going to really enjoy this. I think it's going to be very interesting and enthralling to see what it's like to be this kind of person trying to fit in with society. So that is on October's list, but not being used for a challenge. And the last physical book that I'm going to talk to you about today is Lullaby by Leila Slimani. I think this is called The Perfect Nanny in some countries. I'm sure it's one of those where it was named different things in different countries to appeal to different audiences. It's a domestic thriller. So I think most people will know what this is about by now because it's been around for a while and I've seen lots of people talk about it in the book community. But for those who don't know, when Miriam, a brilliant French-Moroccan lawyer, decides to return to work, she and her husband are forced to look for the perfect caretaker for their 2 young children. They never dreamed they would find Louise, a quiet, polite and devoted woman who sings to their children, cleans the family's chic apartment in Paris's upscale 10th arrondissement, stays late without complaint and hosts enviable birthday parties. The couple and their nanny become more and more dependent on each other, and as jealousy, resentment and suspicions increase, Miriam and Paul's idyllic tableau is shattered. Lullaby is a compulsive, riveting and bravely observed exploration of power, class, race, domesticity and motherhood, and the English language debut of an immensely talented writer. So, to be honest, that synopsis is not enough to get me to read this book. This tagline here is what got me. So it says, "The baby is dead. It took only a few seconds." See, that's really intriguing. So she's become a nanny, then this baby dies. And then what? Who did it? Who's at fault? What's going on? That is what gets me. The fact that she's this amazing nanny and they look at exploration of power and race and stuff like that does not sound interesting at all to me. But that tagline gets me. So this is a definite for October. And I'm using it for the Spookathon readathon for the prompt read a thriller. So that'll be this one. And then now we're on to the ebooks that I'm planning on reading this month. Hopefully there will be a picture somewhere here. If my technology skills do me well, there will be pictures here of each ebook that I'm planning to read this month. And the first of the ebooks that I want to tell you about is one that I am incredibly excited to read. Like, it's such an anticipated read for me. It's one of those that you I didn't even go out looking for it. I was just browsing the horror the horror and the sci-fi mixed in section in a local bookstore, and I happened to spot it, and it was just the title that kind of piqued my interest. So I picked it up, and as soon as I read the synopsis, I knew I had to read it. So I got the book, and that was in January, and I still haven't read it. And every month I think, oh, I should put that on my TBR, and then I don't. So I then last month decided October is the month. It is. It's getting done. It's getting read, because I'm not waiting any longer. And it is a spooky book, so it should fit the theme. So the title is The Hatching by Ezekiel Boone. I'm hoping that I've said that right. I'm really sorry if I've butchered the author's name. Right, so the synopsis. Deep in the jungle of Peru, where so much remains unknown, a black, skittering mass devours an American tourist whole. Thousands of miles away, an FBI agent investigates a fatal plane crash in Minneapolis and makes a gruesome discovery. Unusual seismic patterns register in a Kanpur, India earthquake lab, confounding the scientists there. During the same week, the Chinese government accidentally drops a nuclear bomb in an isolated region of its own country. As these incidents begin to sweep the globe, a mysterious package from South America arrives at a Washington, D.C. laboratory. Something wants out. The world is on the brink of an apocalyptic disaster. An ancient species long dormant is now very much awake. It sounds so good. It really does. Oh, I can't wait. It's 334 pages, and I'm hoping that I love it as much as I want to love it. I just can't wait to read it. And I'm also going to be using The Hatching for the Spookathon readathon for the prompt, a title with a spooky word in it. So I'm going for the, obviously. Or hatching. I think hatching. Hatching sounds creepy, definitely. And the next ebook that I'll be reading this month is We Are Monsters by Brian Kirk. This is an ARC that was sent to me by the publishers Flame Tree Press, and I'm really excited to read this. It definitely, just from the title, sounds like something that I would love. So let's have a read of the synopsis. The apocalypse has come to the Sugar Hill Mental Asylum. Are you catching a theme here? Yeah. Well, I did say at the beginning, I love post-apocalyptic fiction or virus outbreaks, things like that. So, yeah. The apocalypse again has come to the Sugar Hill Mental Asylum. He's the hospital's newest and most notorious patient, a paranoid schizophrenic who sees humanity's dark side. Luckily, he's in good hands. Dr. Eli Alpert has a talent for healing tortured souls, and his protégé is working on a cure for schizophrenia, a drug that returns patients to their former selves. But unforeseen side effects are starting to emerge, forcing prior traumas to the surface, setting inner demons free. Monsters have been unleashed inside the Sugar Hill Mental Asylum. They don't have fangs or claws. They look just like you or me. Ooh, sounds good. I'm super excited to read this. It really does sound like it's going to be scary. And one of the most scariest places I can think of is a mental asylum. So I am going to be using that for the Spookathon readathon prompt, set in a spooky setting. The next ebook I'll be reading this month is called Murder, Witchcraft and the Killing of Wildlife, Police Investigations at the Heart of Africa by Stephen Rabey Matthews. Now, just from the brief bit I've seen of this book, it sounds like a memoir of a policeman in Africa, and it's highlighting some of the more unusual cases that he's worked on. This is an arc that was sent to me by Pen and Sword, and I'm actually really looking forward to reading this. I think this is going to be one of those books that's quite, I don't know, not underrated, but underhyped. I think it's going to be one of those books that's very underhyped, but incredible. So I am going to give it a go and I'll let you know what I think of it. The synopsis is: this was the time of the Belgian Congo debacle, where ethnic cleansing coincided with Steve's first police posting near the northern Rhodesia border with the Congo at the age of 21. He graphically describes being knifed, ambushed, stoned, wounded by bow and arrow and shotgun, and had his hand broken several times. He saved the life of President Kaunda. Gosh, I'm terrible with names. Sorry. From a potential assassination attempt, and acted as a driver and bodyguard to President Tsombe, maybe? I don't know. Of the breakaway state of Katanga. Steve was solely responsible for exposing and tracking down a dangerous British Army deserter and communist spy working in the Congo and northern Rhodesia, seeing him neutralised and his operation disbanded. Throughout the book, he gives full credit to his African police colleagues for their immense courage, humour, loyalty and total dedication. The book will stand out because it depicts unique, true stories of dealing with witchcraft murders and cannibalism in all its repugnant forms. Steve personally thwarted an ambush on a group of famous Congo mercenaries known as the Wild Geese. He describes incidents of black magic, kidnapping, arson, gun running and people trafficking. He successfully detected the first computer fraud in the territory, and later for the first time brought back a European fugitive in a series of fraud cases to face justice from the atrocious apartheid country of South Africa, of being given a government award for his part in combating the slaughter of wildlife and in taking part in the search for the downed aircraft of the United Nations Secretary General. I cannot pronounce that name at all, sorry. Still the subject of much controversy today. Steve's life was saved several times by his courageous Doberman, Alex, regarded as a witch doctor by local tribes. This is the true, action-packed, unadulterated stories of those frantic and dangerous years where a young police inspector found himself confronted by fearsome actions and events well beyond his complete understanding while serving in the elite police force in northern Rhodesia, which was then a British protectorate prior to independence. Steve has strived not to duplicate any of these true stories, which provides an indication of just how involved and energised his dedicated years of service really were. Nevertheless, he pushed on regardless, with the realisation that he was doing an important and necessary job for the benefit of the unprivileged peoples of the country. Yet the police were fighting on two fronts, trying to protect the vulnerable citizens and at the same time endeavouring to stop the slaughter of the country's wildlife. Whew. That is a long synopsis. But after reading that, I think I'm even more interested to read the book. I mean, it kind of does go on quite a lot, but the things that stand out is, you know, when he was dealing with the witchcraft murders, cannibalism, trafficking, all that kind of stuff. That sounds really interesting. So I'm excited to give this a go, and then I'll be doing a review at some point. The next book on my TBR for October is Baby Teeth by Zoje Stage. I'm really hoping that I've pronounced that correctly. I'm not doing well this video, I'm just butchering everybody's names. I'm not going to go into detail really about the book, because I would assume by now that most people will have heard of this book. It's a domestic thriller about a little girl that's behaving very oddly and quite evil and nasty towards her mum, and her mum is struggling to convince people that this is what's going on. People start thinking that the mum's crazy, or she's, you know, making things up, exaggerating. So I've no idea how it progresses. I just know that's the general gist of the story. I've had it on my TBR for a good few months now and just never got around to it. But this month I've started it. I've got a quarter of the way through. I'm definitely going to finish it. So I'm really looking forward to see how that one turns out. And another book on my October TBR is Red River Girl, The Life and Death of Tina Fontaine by Joanna Jolly. This is an arc that was sent to me by the Little Brown Book Group in the UK. This is a true crime. I don't know a whole lot about the book. I know that it says it's a gripping account of the unsolved death of an Indigenous teenager and the detective determined to find her killer, set against the backdrop of a troubled city. On August 17th, 2014, the body of 15-year-old runaway Tina Fontaine was found in Winnipeg's Red River. It was wrapped in material and weighted down with rocks. Red River Girl is a gripping account of that investigation and the unusual police detective who pursued the killer with every legal means at his disposal. The book will chronicle the behind-the-scenes stages of a lengthy and meticulously planned investigation. It reveals characters and social tensions that bring vivid life to a story that made national headlines. So from what I've read about this book, it's not just about the murder investigation. There's also this kind of subplot where they are trying to bring awareness with regards to some of the racism that still occurs in Canada with the Indigenous people there. So this actually sounds like a really interesting book. I do like true crime, and it doesn't kind of stand out. It's not the most horrific of crimes, you know, like Ian Brady and people like that. But I think what is interesting about it is that it's one of those crimes that could quite possibly go not unnoticed, but don't know what the word is, like people wouldn't kind of, not lots of people would know about it, or people who aren't in the immediate area, and that it could go quite under the radar normally. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this is brought out into the openness, and how the really delicate topics of racism and the Indigenous people are written about. And the last book that I'm going to talk to you about today is well, it is one that probably all of you have heard of, and when you have listened to this video so far and you've seen the kind of books I'm planning on reading and that I'm saying I'm looking forward to and I'm excited about, you would then never in a million years guess that this book would be on my TBR. And that is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. And I've obviously heard about, I've heard so much about this book. It's been super hyped by loads of people in the book community, and I've just kind of ignored it. I kind of switch off when people talk about things like this. It's not a book that I would normally ever read, ever. But the Spookathon has a prompt in it that says, read a book you wouldn't normally read. So I chose to give Carry On a try. I popped into a bookstore in town and I had a look at it, and I read the first, I think I read about 6 pages, and it seemed okay. Like, it wasn't something that would draw me in, that sounds super exciting, but I actually think it's going to be just one of those easy, enjoyable, relaxing reads. So I'm going to give it a go. And I'm actually hoping that either my husband will buy it me off my Amazon wish list, or my parents are getting me some bookstore vouchers for my birthday, and if I don't get it already, I will be purchasing that book with my vouchers. So I am kind of excited about giving it a go, because it's like a bit like an experiment where you get to try something really new and see what you think of it. I'm just not normally a contemporary kind of person, and I think that's probably more or less going to be everything that I read in October. I have got 1 or 2 shorter books that are part of series that I wanted to kind of, if I can, and if I don't run out of time, I'm going to try and squeeze them in somewhere. They are really easy reads, the cozy mysteries and things like that. So I may squeeze those in, or even squeeze in another arc if I'm sent one. But I think so far for October, I am pretty fully booked. I'm going to try and read the physical books in the first part of the month, so that when we go travelling at the end of October, I only need to take my Kindle with me with the ebooks on. That should make things slightly easier and make packing slightly easier. If you've watched the video to this point, then well done, and thank you so much. It really is appreciated, and I promise to you all that I will try and improve and get better at doing these videos. If you liked it, please give me a little cheeky thumbs up. And if you really liked it, you could subscribe for my next videos. I will be doing a September wrap-up video at some point, probably in the next couple of days, because I've left everything to the last minute. And I might even do a quick little birthday haul. And actually, I've got a ginormous stack of books at the side of me, of books that I've purchased in September alone. So I could even do a whole video there. So thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.